Find a big one. It is cabin fever time. Middle of winter, cold February day, and everyone's getting a little restless. So I thought I'd can sweet potatoes today. We have quite a few sweet potatoes we got last summer. We eat them fresh. We make baked sweet potatoes, sweet potato fries, whatever we get tired of through the winter. Then I go ahead and can them, and I wait till end of January or February to can them. Canning in the winter is pretty enjoyable. The house doesn't get too hot. It actually helps with the heat in the house, and it adds extra humidity. So it's pretty nice to be able to can in the winter time. So I save back some things what I can, and what I'm able to through the summer, I'll save back and can them later in the winter time. So I did some pinto beans a couple weeks ago. I do my tomatoes. I'll just freeze them and get them out and can them later. And today we're doing sweet potatoes. So this was our biggest sweet potato that we got. I had already started cutting it up, and so that's, you can kind of tell what it is, kind of how to get it put back together as best we could, but you can kind of tell how big it is. So that was the biggest one we got this year, probably the biggest one that we've ever had. So canning sweet potatoes is pretty easy. It's a little bit time consuming as far as the process, and the longest part is in the canner. I actually have gotten one batch going. I'll probably have 2 full batches, which will be 28 quarts or so, close to 30 quarts that I'll get from my sweet potatoes. So I went ahead and started one batch earlier today. It's just now getting started in the canner. As you can see, my canner's just starting to go. This canner is very nice. It has a clamp-on lid. I do have the smaller canners, pressure canners that have the lid that just has the seal, but I've had problems with the seal and not wanting to seal up right, and just the seals wear out and that type of thing. So this canner is very nice, and I think it's worth the investment really, because it'll last forever. This holds 14 quarts. I've got 13 quarts in there right now, so nearly a full batch. What it's doing right now is it's building up pressure. So when I get all my jars in here, I get it started, and then you have to let it vent for about 10 or 15 minutes or so, let all the extra air get out. So I did that, and then I put my pressure gauge on at 10 pounds pressure, and then I just let the pressure build up. When it gets to 10, it'll kind of self-regulate, but I'll adjust my heat too as I need to. And so it goes at 10 pounds pressure for an hour and a half, so it takes a good while. And like I say, this is my first batch. I'll try and get another batch in today if I can, if I'm able to. I've got another good group of sweet potatoes to get ready. So over here we have, this is our bag of sweet potatoes that I have to do. They're all pretty good size, so there's not as many in there as it looks, but I mean they're big. So that's going to take a while to get them. I'll cut them up first, and then I'll peel them, and then I'll rinse them off, then chop them up, and I get them all in a pot. When I get the pot full with sweet potatoes and cover them with water, I let it get just to a boil, where if you test the sweet potatoes are just starting, you can just start to soften up. Then they're ready to be put in the jars. My jars I let sit in hot water, sink of hot water, until I'm ready to use them. So and then I'll fill up the jars, and we'll start the process again in the canner. That will take a while to cool back down too when they're done. So, and that takes a good while. So you have to add in the time that it takes to build up the pressure and the time that it takes to cool back down, which is usually I think like 20-30 minutes or so for both of those. So that's an extra hour. So it's almost 3 hours that it's just in the canner, dealing with the canner. So once that gets cooled back down, then hopefully it won't be too late and I can start my second batch, and then I'll be done with sweet potatoes. The book that I use for canning that I've had for several years now, this book, very good. It has a lot of stuff in it, a lot of good recipes or directions really to follow, and this is what I follow for my sweet potatoes. Simple process, just a little bit time consuming. So I'll continue on. I'll keep peeling, washing, chopping till I've got them all in the pot and ready to boil and ready to put in the jars. So I've gotten my pot full again, and I definitely underestimated that big sweet potato because it filled my pot like a third of the way up. So I only was able to put like 4 more sweet potatoes or so in there. So this is probably a good, I tried to fill it a little extra full this time, so hopefully I'll get a full batch of 14 quarts. So I'll get those. Probably won't start them boiling yet because they don't take too long. So my first batch is still going. I still got some time left. So I'll just hold out on these, let them sit in the pot before I start them heating up. So I still have a good amount of big sweet potatoes, and I will just probably save those back. I don't know. I might decide to can them later on, but 2 batches a day is going to about max me out. So that's it.
Y'all come back now. Cheers.